How long does it actually take to prepare for a divorce? Every year without fail, the phones start ringing right after the Christmas holidays. We get a flood of emails and people start their separation journeys in January. Why does that happen? Why do people start thinking January is the month? Hi and welcome to Hader Legal. I'm a lawyer based in Australia, and by the end of this video, you'll understand what actually goes into preparing for a divorce, why it takes longer than most people expect, and why January is basically peak season for relationship breakdowns. And no, it's not just because people make bad New Year's resolutions. Let's start with the first misconception, and that is most people think divorce starts when someone files paperwork. Now, legally, they might be right, but emotionally and practically, it's not even close. In reality, divorce preparation often begins months before anyone even starts talking to a lawyer. Someone realizes they're unhappy, they start doing a bit of research and maybe talking to some friends, and by the time a lawyer gets involved, most people have already been planning for a separation mentally for months. Now in Australia, divorce itself is technically fairly straightforward, but what people really mean when they ask how long does a divorce take is how long does it take to prepare myself to untangle my life from another person's life. And that can be quite hard because there's so much that you actually intermingle with one another when you do get married. And the main things that do get intermingled, of course, are your finances and, if there are children. Now, the good news is if there are no children involved and you have minimal finances or no money, then your relationship could be over fairly quickly. The whole thing can be wrapped up in a few weeks, sometimes even faster. But if you add children into the mix, property, businesses, bank accounts, finances, debts, and if you mix that potentially with domestic violence, protection orders, then the process slows right down. Because before anything happens, you need to start collecting information. And that's the first step when it comes to any separation. You need financial disclosure. You need to understand the complete financial situation, all of the assets, all of the debts. Then you need to start considering the parenting arrangements, including where the children are going to live, what schools they're going to go to, how much time they're going to spend with each parent, and all of that takes time. So why do so many separations and divorces start at the beginning of the year? From what I see, I think it's because a lot of people wait it out and make a conscious decision to get through Christmas. They don't want to disrupt the kids' holidays. They don't want to explain separation and divorce to their extended family when they're seeing them. They just want to get through that period, and they don't want to be the person who ruined Christmas. So if they are contemplating it, maybe around the months of October, November, December, they decide to wait. And then when January arrives, there's a sense of finality and there's a sense of we need to get things done because it's the new year. We're going to draw a mental line in the sand and people start to reassess their lives. They start to ask, is this what I really want for the whole next year? Is this what I want for another 5 years, another 10 years? If I don't do something about it now, then this is going to be my life. And much like people like to declutter in December and January, this is part of their decluttering, whether that sounds quite harsh. They feel like now is the time. They've got the emotional and the mental clarity and time and space to start making these decisions and moving ahead with them. Otherwise, once they get into the yearly grind where they're in the middle of work or dealing with children and dealing with all of their children's activities and drop-offs and pickups, and their boss is putting pressure on them, then all of a sudden, all of these larger than life decisions, they kind of are easy to put on the back burner. But during this Christmas period, I think that's when people really start contemplating, reflecting, and thinking about their futures. So most divorces that start in January were actually decided months earlier. And by the time someone sits in my office in early January, they've often already emotionally separated. They've thought about it. Maybe they've talked to their partner about it already, or they've talked to friends, or maybe they've even started living separately within the same house, or maybe they've moved out. So January isn't the start of the breakdown, it's just when people finally act on it. So how long does the divorce process actually take? For some people, it can be over in a matter of weeks, but for most, it's 6 to 12 months of emotional, financial, and a lot of logistical preparation before anything becomes official. It's important to remember that divorce isn't a single event. It's not something that happens overnight. It's more of a process, it's more of a timeline, and things kind of happen across that timeline. And rushing things can actually end up costing you more. And to be honest, probably what's even worse is it can cause you to make poor decisions which you will regret in the future. Now that brings me to the most important piece of advice that I can give you, and that is to get advice early on, even if you're not ready to act on it. Because the people that I see who struggle the most in divorces are the ones who haven't planned anything, and the ones that are constantly just reacting to what their spouses are doing. If you're constantly in reaction mode and you're a little bit behind the 8 ball, then that can put you on the back foot, not just for that period of your life, but for the whole entirety of your life after divorce. So getting an understanding as to what you're entitled to, as to what your legal rights are early and upfront, that can really cause you to be in a better position moving forward. I think people can feel quite guilty about getting this legal information early on, but just remember, the knowledge that you receive, it doesn't force you to act, it just gives you options and it gives you a good understanding before things start happening to you. All right guys, so if you've got any questions, please drop them in the comments. And if you want a follow-up video on how to prepare for divorce without escalating it, let me know. And if you found this video to be helpful, please like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time.